Men, listen carefully. One of the most powerful yet misunderstood strategies in relationships is no contact. Most men see it as a game, as manipulation, or as a way to punish a woman. But the truth is far deeper. No contact is not about her, it's about you. It is the discipline of silence, the strength of self-control, and the reclaiming of your power. When you step back and go silent, you tap into a dark psychology that shakes her in ways words never could. Because women are emotional by nature, silence leaves space for her mind to fill with questions, doubts, and realizations. And here's the paradox. When you stop chasing, that's when she feels your presence most. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Silence is a lesson learned from the many sufferings of life." No contact is that silence. It teaches you discipline, it forces her to confront the truth, and it separates the weak from the strong. In this series, I'm going to break down the dark psychology behind no contact, why it works, how it impacts her, and how it transforms you into a man of unshakable power. But hear this warning. No contact only works if you truly mean it. If you use it as a trick, she'll see through it. If you use it as a weapon, you've already lost. It must come from strength, not spite. It must be rooted in self-respect, not bitterness. Subscribe to Masculine Group, because here we cut through the lies and teach men how to master themselves, not just their relationships. Now let's dive into part 1 and expose the raw truth about no contact. 1. No contact reveals your true value. When a man cuts off communication after a breakup, rejection, or when a woman pulls away, he steps into one of the deepest psychological truths. Absence creates value. Human nature takes things for granted when they're always available. This is why men who chase, who beg, who flood her phone with messages, always lose her respect. They make themselves cheap, predictable, and replaceable. But silence, true silence, forces her to confront what life feels like without your presence. Suddenly, the attention she dismissed is gone. The energy she overlooked has vanished. And now her mind, wired for emotional reflection, begins to replay the moments she ignored. Seneca once said, "That man is poor who believes himself to be so." When you stay silent, you stop acting poor in spirit, desperate for scraps of attention. Instead, you stand as a man of value, a man who does not beg for what should be freely given. Look at history. Great leaders did not chase those who abandoned them. When alliances broke, they allowed the absence to speak louder than pleas. The same principle applies here. Your silence is not a tactic. It is a statement. It says, "My value does not diminish because you don't see it. My presence is a privilege, not a guarantee." The mistake most men make is breaking no contact when the discomfort grows. They think, maybe she forgot me, or maybe if I reach out, she'll come back. But the moment you break silence, you destroy the psychology behind it. You remind her that she can have your energy on demand, and all tension is lost. No contact works because it creates space for her to feel your absence and reevaluate your worth. It is not about anger. It is not about punishment. It is about truth, showing both her and yourself that your value doesn't shrink in silence, it expands. 2. No contact triggers the fear of loss. A woman may act cold, distant, or even dismissive when she thinks you'll always be there. But when you step back and go completely silent, something powerful happens. Her fear of losing you begins to surface. Human psychology is wired this way. The moment we believe something is permanently gone, its value skyrockets in our minds. This is not manipulation, it's reality. When you withdraw, her certainty about you is shaken. She no longer knows if you're waiting, if you've moved on, or if someone else now has your attention. That uncertainty is what creates desire. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." To her, your silence feels like change, and that change forces her to confront the possibility of true loss. History shows this same pattern. Nations never valued peace until war stripped it away. Men never valued health until sickness struck. In the same way, a woman never values your presence until your absence forces her to. The mistake men make is rushing back when she shows the slightest sign of missing them. They send a message, they break the silence, they ruin the psychology. But a disciplined man does not panic. He knows that fear of loss is a natural reaction to absence, and he allows her to sit in that tension. Epictetus taught, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Her emotions are not in your control, but your silence, that is. And that silence is what triggers her fear of losing you. If she values you, she will return. If she doesn't, then no contact has revealed the truth you needed all along. Either way, you win. 3. No contact breaks the power of her control. One of the darkest truths in modern relationships is that many women unconsciously test a man's strength by controlling the pace of attention and affection. She pulls back to see if you'll chase. She ignores you to see if you'll fold. And when you do, she gains power while you lose it. But no contact flips this script entirely. By going silent, you remove her ability to manipulate your behavior with hot and cold tactics. You show that your emotions are not tied to her approval. That's why no contact feels so unsettling to women. They lose the control they once had over you. Seneca once said, "No man is free who is a slave to his body." But in today's world, many men are slaves to their emotions, slaves to their need for validation, and slaves to a woman's attention. When you practice no contact, you break that slavery. You reclaim the power she had to push your buttons. History gives us countless examples of this principle. When Rome faced betrayal from its allies, it did not beg or plead. It simply withdrew support, forcing others to realize how dependent they were on Roman strength. In the same way, your silence forces her to feel what life is like without your energy, your presence, your stability. The mistake weak men make is thinking no contact is about punishment. It's not. It's about rebalancing the power dynamic. It's about refusing to be emotionally trained like a dog responding to every command. Once you withdraw, the game changes. She can no longer dictate the terms. The leash is broken, and you are free. Remember, the man who cannot be controlled is the man who earns respect. No contact is the discipline that proves you cannot be ruled by her moods, her distance, or her silence. 4. No contact forces her to confront her emotions. When you stop chasing, you create a void. And here's the truth. Nature hates a vacuum. That empty space begins to press on her mind, and she starts filling it with emotions she once avoided. While you were always available, she could distract herself with her options, her friends, or her phone. But now, without your energy feeding her ego, she's left with silence, and silence magnifies emotions. She begins to wonder if she misjudged you, if she underestimated your strength, if she pushed away something rare. This is the psychology of no contact. It removes the noise, so she must face the truth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." You cannot control whether she misses you or not, but by withdrawing, you put her in a position where her mind must wrestle with its own conflicts. History shows the same pattern. After Socrates was executed, many Athenians who once mocked him suddenly felt the weight of his absence. They could no longer distract themselves with his presence, and in the silence they realized his value. That is the power of absence. It makes the heart confront what it tried to ignore. The mistake weak men make is rushing back to relieve her discomfort. They think, if she feels confused, I should give her clarity. No. Let her wrestle with those emotions. Let her struggle in that silence. That's where the truth is born. No contact is not cruelty, it's clarity. It forces her to separate genuine feelings from temporary impulses. And when she finally comes to terms with what she feels, she will know whether it was desire, ego, or fear that drove her. Either way, the man who stayed silent stands taller because he chose strength over impulse and patience over panic. 5. No contact builds your discipline and masculine frame. Here's the truth most men ignore. No contact is less about her psychology and more about yours. When you choose silence, you're not just creating distance. You're training your mind, your emotions, and your masculinity. You're proving to yourself that you are not a slave to impulses, not a prisoner to desire, and not a weak man who collapses when a woman pulls away. This discipline is what separates men of value from men of desperation. Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." No contact is the battlefield where you master yourself. Every time you resist the urge to call, to text, to check her social media, you sharpen your self-control. You stop making her the center of your world, and you return to your mission, your goals, your purpose. And here's the paradox. The more you build your life in silence, the more attractive you become, not just to her, but to everyone. History has shown this in men of greatness. When Alexander the Great lost allies, he did not beg them to return. He kept marching forward, and in time, his strength drew more loyalty than his words ever could. That's the psychology of no contact. It forces you to keep marching, to keep building, to keep growing, instead of pausing your life for someone else. The mistake men make is seeing no contact as a waiting game. They sit by their phone, counting days, obsessing over when she'll reach out. That is not no contact. That is still slavery. True, no contact is not waiting. It is working. It is rebuilding yourself so that whether she returns or not, you are stronger, sharper, and harder to replace. And in that process, you become what every man should strive for: unshakable, independent, and untouchable by the storms of emotion. 6. No contact tests her true intentions. One of the darkest but most liberating truths about no contact is that it strips away illusions. When you step back, you force her to reveal who she really is without the comfort of your constant attention. If she truly values you, silence will pull her closer. She will feel the void, and her actions will show it. But if she was only using you for validation, for attention, or as a backup plan, then silence will expose that as well. This is why no contact is not just a strategy, it's a filter. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Time is a sort of river of passing events, and strong is its current. No sooner is a thing brought to sight than it is swept away." No contact uses time to separate what is real from what is temporary. History gives us the same pattern. When Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon, many who claimed to be loyal to Rome had to choose sides. Their true allegiance was revealed not by their words, but by their actions under pressure. Likewise, when you pull away, her true allegiance to you, or lack of it, will surface. The mistake men make is panicking when her intentions are revealed. They see her silence as rejection and chase after her, desperate to restore the illusion. But that destroys the entire point. No contact is about truth. If she doesn't reach out, then the truth is that she never valued you the way you thought. And that truth, though painful, is freedom. It spares you wasted years, wasted energy, and wasted dignity. Remember, love is shown in actions, not in words. Silence reveals what words can hide. No contact is the test that shows whether her interest was real or if you were simply an option she never truly intended to choose. 7. No contact makes you undeniable at its core. No contact is not just a reaction to her, it is a declaration of who you are as a man. When you step back, when you choose silence over begging, when you choose presence in your own life instead of chasing hers, you begin to transform. You stop being the man who needs validation and become the man who creates value. And that shift is undeniable. Women sense it, men respect it, and the world responds to it. Epictetus said, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" No contact is that demand. It is you refusing to settle for being half chosen, half valued, half respected. It is you declaring that your energy, your time, and your love are privileges to be earned, not entitlements to be handed out. History shows us this same pattern. When great men withdrew, when they stepped back from the noise, their absence only magnified their influence. Think of Marcus Aurelius. He did not need to shout to be heard. His calm discipline made him unforgettable. In the same way, when you go silent, you stop being background noise and become a presence she cannot ignore. The mistake weak men make is thinking no contact is about getting her back. That is not the true purpose. The true purpose is to make yourself undeniable, not to her, but to yourself. Because whether she returns or not, you emerge stronger, sharper, and more disciplined. And that's the paradox. The moment you no longer need her to validate you is the moment she feels your value most. No contact is not a game. It is the ultimate act of masculine strength. And when you master it, you no longer fear loss, rejection, or silence, because you've become the kind of man who cannot be denied. Brother, now you see the dark psychology of no contact. It is not about manipulation. It is not about games. It is about truth. When you go silent, you reveal her real intentions, you strip away the illusions, and you reclaim your masculine frame. You force her to feel your absence. You force her to confront her emotions, and you prove to yourself that your strength is greater than your impulses. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." No contact lives by this principle. If chasing her is not right, you don't do it. If begging is not true to who you are as a man, you don't say it. You stand firm. You hold the line. You choose silence over weakness. History has shown us this. The men who could walk away with discipline were the men who always held power. The same is true in your relationships. When you practice no contact, you either draw her back with respect or you expose her lack of it. Either way, you win, because you've chosen self-respect over desperation. The silence speaks louder than words, and the strength it forges in you is permanent. Remember this, if she values you, no contact will bring her closer. If she doesn't, no contact will set you free, and both outcomes are victory. This is the masculine group. Subscribe now, because here we teach men how to master themselves, not just women. Hold the frame, embrace the silence, and never forget, your mission comes first.